All right, thank you. Good afternoon. Welcome. Thank you for being here. I'm Chairman of the Bucks County Board of Commissioners, Bob Harvey, here on behalf of Commissioner Diane Marseglia and Commissioner Jean DiGirolamo. We're here really, in a bipartisan way, not just with the three commissioners, but also our district attorney, Matt Weintraub, because regardless of our differences, we all inhabit one planet. And that one planet has one environment. And that one environment is what sustains all of us. The desire to protect our environment is also what unites us as Bucks County public servants and what has brought us here to this location. Today we join to announce a lawsuit on behalf of the people of Bucks County against major manufacturers of products containing PFAS, which were used here at the fire training facility. Tests conducted at the direction of the county have shown that PFAS is present in the groundwater, soil, and other natural resources. The manufacturers knew these products posed dangers, but did not disclose this knowledge when they sold their products. We're bringing this action on a unified, bipartisan basis because, as your elected officials, we have a duty to protect the people of Bucks County, to conserve and maintain the county's natural resources. I'm going to turn over for some detail to Bucks County Solicitor Joe Kahn, who will then later allow District Attorney Weintraub to talk about his part of the suit as well. Joe.
Thank you, Commissioner. As Commissioner Harvey stated, this morning Bucks County filed a 10-count complaint charging depriving the people of Bucks County of their environmental rights as guaranteed under the Pennsylvania Constitution, negligence, civil conspiracy, and other causes of action, all due to the corporate greed and malfeasance of companies such as 3M, Tyco, and DuPont that manufactured AFF, which is aqueous firefighting foam, used, as the Commissioner said, in places such as the training center here, used to put out fires, large fires that you would see at a military base or a firefighting training center. And unbeknownst to the people who used that foam, unbeknownst to the consumers who bought that foam, even though that foam could have been made without using very dangerous forever chemicals known as PFAS, these companies sold products that were dangerous and failed to warn people about those dangers. And as a result, as the Commissioner said, those products were used for years and years and years. And it's been a long time since that foam was used in this training center here and other places in Bucks County. But to this day, we continue to see these chemicals which do not biodegrade, which continue to live inside of animals, inside of fish, and in the water that we all use and need to live on this planet. Now, one of the things that is laid out in the complaint that we have filed jointly with the district attorney is that the manufacturers and sellers of these harmful products owed a duty to the public, to all consumers, to not market a product that is unreasonably dangerous for its intended and foreseeable uses. And these companies knew or should have known that their products were toxic, they could not be contained, and were persistent and do not readily degrade in the environment. And as a result, we have seen the effects that are extremely dangerous for the health and welfare of people in Bucks County. Now, Mr. Weintraub will talk about what the lawsuit is seeking in terms of damages and in terms of remediation and injunctive relief on behalf of the people. But it's important to point out that we're here at a county property in part because the county has a stake as a property owner for all the things that happened here through no fault of the people who worked here. But we're also here as stewards of the environment. And Pennsylvania is the only state in the entire country that has a state constitution that guarantees the way we do a right to pure water. And there's a responsibility for all of us in public life, especially the elected officials that are with me today, to protect the environment, to vindicate that right, and to protect that right for all the people of Bucks County. So we're here not only to assert and defend the rights of the people as property owners and as taxpayers, but also to protect the environment and the constitutional right to pure water. And with that, I'll turn this over to District Attorney Weintraub, who will talk more about the portion of the lawsuit in which his office is bringing on behalf of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Thank you, Joe. So in order to prepare for this, and frankly it's been a 2-year odyssey here as we gathered our data to make sure we were on firm footing, I had a lot of questions myself, but I'm grateful to stand with my partners at the county level because there's strength in numbers. And I think that the first thing you should understand is, why is the district attorney engaged in a lawsuit? And you've seen me stand before you in our lawsuit against jewel manufacturers and in our lawsuit against opioid distributors and one manufacturer. But under the Commonwealth's Unfair Trade Practices and Consumer Protection Law, UTPCPL, which I call a CPL, I'm bringing a public law enforcement action against the manufacturers of PFAS and the firefighting foam products that contain PFAS. My claims are based on the unfair and deceptive acts and practices that the defendants and manufacturers of these firefighting foams. AFFF, aqueous firefighting foams, is a water-based firefighting agent used to control and extinguish Class B fuel fires, and is used in many locations, like military bases, as I'm sure you're familiar, airports, petroleum refineries, and yes, fire training centers, just like this one. In fact, this very one. These defendants, as was alluded to before, I think, by Commissioner Harvey, include 3M, DuPont, Chemours, Tyco Fire Products, and ChemGuard. These defendants designed, manufactured, marketed, and sold these products, including firefighting foam, knowing that their use would cause toxic chemicals to be released into the environment. And they did nothing to notify the consumers that they were doing it. My claim under the CPL is based on the defendants' deceptive and unfair acts and practices as manufacturers of this firefighting foam, in connection with their marketing and sale of such products, of these undisclosed forever chemicals, forever, to governmental entities like Bucks County. The health and safety of our citizens of Bucks County is our top concern. That's why we're here. These companies interfered with our rights to public health, safety, and peace, and the right to pure water and the preservation of our natural environment. As a result of the detection of PFAS in Bucks County, our residents are unable to fully participate in and enjoy the natural resources that we often take for granted. For example, right now, fish from the Neshaminy Creek watershed, which runs right behind this location, and all through Bucks County, are under a do not eat advisory due to the levels of PFAS detected in them. You literally cannot eat the fish that you catch. The good news, to win against these defendants, the CPL, under which I'm suing, does not require a district attorney to prove the defendant's guilty knowledge. Instead, it's a much lower hurdle for us to overcome. It merely requires that we show the defendants caused the likelihood of confusion as to the safety of PFAS. Even more good news, a suing DA, in this case Bucks County DA, does not need to establish proximate causation in a public enforcement action. To recover on behalf of the Commonwealth, I only need to establish the loss of money as a result of the defendant's conduct that violated the CPL. And here's the best news of all. These remedies, available only to a district attorney and to the Pennsylvania Attorney General under the CPL, are over and above and in addition to the damages that the county is seeking as my partner to this lawsuit. So this is almost like the bonus round by my filing this suit. What remedies am I seeking as district attorney in my lawsuit? Prevention. I'm seeking injunctive relief to prevent these defendants' further deceptive and unfair actions against our citizens here in Bucks County. Information. The defendants must be compelled to inform the medical community and the public of the true consequences resulting from the prior use of such contaminants in their products and by an unwitting public. Restoration. I'm also seeking to compel the defendants to restore Bucks County to the way it was before it released these forever chemicals into our environment. compensation, and that the defendants pay back all the money and damages that they profited from us by selling these products to us. And finally, punishment. This includes fines and penalties for their egregious conduct, which would be payable to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. You're probably wondering what I can do with any award that I win as district attorney. I'm expressly authorized to recover statutory restoration of money lost by anyone in Bucks County when I bring an action under the public interest through the CPL. Restoration relief can and will be used to assist with the cost of remediation in a place like this training facility. Remediation is the primary relief sought by the county. And frankly, who am I, who are we seeking to protect? As the district attorney, you know that I am dedicated to protecting the county and its residents from deceptive and unfair acts and practices of these manufacturers of PFAS in connection with their marketing and sale of such products, which contain these undisclosed forever chemicals to entities throughout the county. Additionally, as the district attorney, I'm committed to helping ensure the protection of natural resources within the county for the enjoyment, benefit, and use of its residents, and frankly, future generations. That is why I'm joining with Bucks County government in bringing this lawsuit, because I've sworn to protect you, and because these defendants who've done us wrong must be held accountable. I'm hopeful and encouraged that by filing this lawsuit, we will do both. Thank you. I think probably at this time, if you have questions, I'm going to defer to Mr. Khan and Chairman Harvey, and I'll step aside, and if you have any questions for me, I'll stand back up.
Hey, Bob, you said in your opening they knew but they did not control. What's the basis for that?
Well, we know this is something that's nationwide. I attended a conference over 2 years ago in Washington, D.C. that was attended by representatives of communities from all over the country, meeting to discuss the problems that PFAS pollution posed to them. People, I remember talking with elected officials from New Hampshire, Michigan, North Carolina, all of them dealing with this problem. These are chemicals which, very much like tobacco, the manufacturers knew for a long time that what they were putting in this chemical, the makeup of the chemicals, the forever chemicals, were going to be hazardous and were going to be very, very difficult to get rid of. These are chemicals, these are materials that are deliberately made to not break down, which is why they were used on nonstick pans, why they were used on waterproofing materials, for decades and decades. And yet, again, knowing that this danger was there, again, very much like the tobacco companies, they continue to make and market the product without ever disclosing to anybody that the danger was present.
Is this different than, these were big stories in 2016, Horsham, Warminster, Warrington, they redid their entire water system because of this. Mm-hmm. This is now, 6 years later, and I know DA, you mentioned this was a 2-year process. So why now? And is this different than what happened in Warrington, Horsham, and Warminster? Is this more for the natural landscape as opposed to public drinking water?
Well, we looked into, when I came on as county commissioner, it was one of the things I wanted to look at was what action the county could take regarding protecting the residents of Bucks County who do live near the former Naval Air Warfare Center. I'll let Mr. Khan talk about maybe some of the limitations that we faced taking an action under the law. This is much cleaner in terms of our ability to bring action, because this is clearly our property. And in addition to being county elected officials and protecting the county residents, so this is our property.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
It's a natural environment compared to drinking water, which was more the issue in 2016.
I don't necessarily think there's a distinction, but I'll let Mr. Khan talk.
Yeah, the chairman is exactly right. There is not a distinction. This lawsuit, whether you're talking about the DA's claims or the county's claims, this is all about what the defendants did. And all of the harms, all of the bad things that happened, that's what this lawsuit is about. In terms of the timing, as Commissioner Harvey said, one of the things that changed in 2020, frankly, was a new administration, a new way of looking at certain things, including new ways to use the legal powers that the county had. And it just so happened the district attorney himself was in the process of studying this issue. And as we went through that learning process and we tried to be very shrewd about the right thing for Bucks County, it became clear to us if we could work in concert with the district attorney, that would put the county in the best position to minimize things like legal costs. We chose a very reputable team of outside law firms that are not only experts in this area and are part of the leadership in the national litigation, but frankly gave the county a very good rate in terms of what we were able to negotiate if we were able to get some kind of recovery. So it was the right time, and one thing that's important to note is we are still learning about all of the harmful health effects that PFAS has on people, and it's going to take a long time to figure all that out. Just this week, the state is revisiting the guidelines concerning these very, very dangerous chemicals. But what today is about is today is the time to act. Today is the day that we're coming together, regardless of political party, as a united government to hold these defendants accountable.
Any sense of what a settlement might look like financially? You spoke about the engagement as a top priority, I think. Any kind of numbers you can associate with that?
It's very hard to say. I mean, I think the DA mentioned the opioid litigation, which just gives you a good example of how long litigation can take. And while we are coming forward today, we have watched with very great attention some of this litigation playing out, and frankly, some of the things that we learned from the discovery that was coming out helped inform the choices that we made today. But I think that litigation often takes a while. I think it's a little too early to put numbers out yet.
And the last time this firefighting foam was used in the county, do you guys know when that was?
It's been many years since this particular foam was used, and that's again what this lawsuit is about. Is that even though it was many years since this actual foam was used at this site or in other places in the county, those chemicals, it doesn't matter if it's a year, 5 years, 10 years, they are forever chemicals, and we're still dealing with the cleanup that has to happen.
Are you talking decades?
It's 14 years.
Yeah.
14 years, I think.
Certainly more than 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And just so I'm clear, so when you say is part of this that they should have known or they did know back when these chemicals were being used that they were hazardous?
Both, yeah, and you know, as we said at the beginning, this is a lawsuit against a number of corporate defendants, and if you want to go through the complaint, it's available at buckscounty.gov, and you can go through line by line the specific allegations, and there's some pretty chilling details about the kinds of things that these companies knew and kept quiet and sold to a unsuspecting and unknowing public.
I'd like to add one more thing. So obviously, timing is always an issue. What did people know and when did they know it? But by their very nature, these forever chemicals were, this was not something that these defendants wanted the public to understand, that they were dangerous. So this process is ongoing, but the way that I look at it is we've now staked our claim today. We've staked our claim on behalf of the citizens of Bucks County. There's an old Israeli proverb, the best time to plant a tree was 30 years ago. But the second best time to plant a tree is today. And that's what we're doing here. This process is going to be ongoing. If we learn of other claimants that we can possibly protect in Bucks County, we will. And if we learn of other causes of action as we continue on this process, we'll file those as well. But the time for action is today. And that's why we're united in this cause. Thank you.
Any other questions?
The last thing I have,
Sure.
the district attorneys, I guess what you want is the same thing you guys want as well, and you're on the same page with what you want to happen with the overall lawsuit. I think you listed like 6 different things. It's the same between the county and the DA's office.
Yeah, I mean, there are different causes, different claims we can make versus the powers the DA has, as he talked about the consumer protection part. The county has sort of a broader brush we can paint with, but overall, yes,
like the remedy for it.
yes, yep.
Has there been any response whatsoever from the defendants?
It was just filed this morning. Yeah, we just filed literally a few hours ago. So,
All right, thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate the time.